Before anyone notices your handbag, your shoes, or the label inside your jacket, they have already put a price on your appearance. Not with money, with details. A dry cuticle, hair that looks almost finished, foundation settling into the places your face naturally moves, or a perfume that enters the room 10 seconds before you do. None of these things is dramatic, and that is exactly why they are so easy to miss. Because looking cheap after 60 is rarely about wearing inexpensive clothes, and looking expensive is almost never about buying the most expensive beauty products. It happens in the tiny grooming decisions you make every morning, the details your own eyes may have stopped noticing because you see them every day. Here, we talk about classic style, timeless beauty, and practical ways for mature women to look polished without chasing youth or exhausting trends. And today, I want to show you 5 grooming mistakes that can quietly cheapen an otherwise beautiful appearance, and 5 habits that create the exact opposite effect. Calm, refined, intentional, not overdone, not flashy, just beautifully finished. And stay with me, because one of the most powerful grooming habits on this list has nothing to do with your makeup, your hair, or your skincare. In fact, it happens after you are already dressed. Once you see it, you may never leave the house the same way again. Here is where many women over 60 lose polish without realizing it. Nothing looks truly wrong. The hair is brushed, the makeup is on, the nails are clean, the outfit is decent, but the whole appearance still feels slightly unfinished. This is what I call the almost finished problem. It happens when every detail is acceptable, but none of them looks fully intentional. Maybe the hair has shape at the crown, but the ends look dry. Maybe the lipstick is flattering, but the edges are beginning to fade. Maybe the nails are neat, but the cuticles look rough. Or perhaps the blouse is beautiful, but there is a faint mark near the collar from foundation. Each detail seems too small to matter, but together, they create a quiet impression of carelessness. And this is where most women get it completely wrong. They assume they need more makeup, a better outfit, or a more expensive product. Usually, they do not. They need a stronger finish. Imagine getting ready for dinner with friends. You put on a well-cut jacket, simple earrings, and a soft lipstick. The outfit should look elegant, but under the restaurant lighting, the frizzy ends of your hair and dry skin around your nails become more noticeable than the jacket. The clothes are not the problem. The final 5% is. Before leaving the house, stop looking at your entire reflection. Instead, check only 3 areas: your hairline and ends, your hands and nails, your neckline and collar. This quick check catches the small details that often weaken an otherwise refined appearance. A polished woman is not perfect from head to toe. She simply knows which unfinished details the eye notices first. So remember this. Do not ask, does everything look fine? Ask, what still looks unfinished? And once you learn to see that difference, the first place to examine is your hair. There is a strange point where beautifully styled hair stops looking polished and starts looking worked on. You can see the effort. Too much hairspray, a crown that has been lifted and frozen into place, curls that are identical from one side of the head to the other, bangs so carefully arranged that they barely move when the woman turns her head. The hair is neat, but it does not feel effortless. And after 60, this distinction matters more than many women realize. Hair naturally changes in density, texture, and moisture as we age. Trying to force it into a rigid shape can make those changes more obvious, not less. Instead of seeing the woman first, the eye goes directly to the hairstyle. Expensive-looking hair moves. Cheap-looking hair often stays exactly where it was ordered to stay. Picture a woman meeting friends for lunch. She is wearing a modern cream blazer, dark straight-leg trousers, and beautiful leather flats. Everything feels current and refined. Then she turns her head. Her hair moves as one solid shape. Suddenly, the entire look feels more dated than it actually is. Now, this does not mean your hair should be messy, and it certainly does not mean giving up volume or structure. The goal is controlled movement. Soft volume at the crown, ends that look smooth and healthy, layers that shift slightly when you walk, curls with a little variation instead of perfect repetition. Here is a simple test you can try before dinner, church, or a family gathering. Open the camera on your phone. Record 5 seconds of yourself slowly turning your head from side to side. Do not pose. Then watch your hair. Does it move with you? Or does the entire hairstyle move like a helmet? If it looks too rigid, brush through one section, soften the front, or use less finishing spray next time. You do not need younger hair. You need hair that still looks alive. And interestingly, the next expensive-looking grooming habit is not about doing more. It is about choosing one area and doing less everywhere else. Most women have been taught that looking polished means fixing everything. Perfect hair, perfect skin, perfect nails, perfect makeup, all at the same time. But that approach often creates the opposite result. Too many details compete for attention, and the woman disappears underneath the grooming. Here is a much more refined approach. I call it the one-zone rule. Before you leave the house, decide which area of your appearance deserves the highest level of polish that day. Just one. If you are wearing a sleeveless blouse or a short-sleeved knit, make your hands and forearms the zone. Moisturized skin, clean nails, neat cuticles, perhaps a simple watch or bracelet. If you are wearing an open neckline to dinner, pay attention to your neck and upper chest. Make sure the skin looks comfortable and hydrated, and keep the jewelry clean and deliberate. If your hair is pulled back for a warm afternoon or a weekend outing, your face becomes the zone. Softly defined brows, healthy-looking lips, and skin that still looks like skin. This sounds almost too simple to matter. It changes everything. Because the eye likes hierarchy. When every feature is demanding attention, nothing looks particularly elegant. But when one area feels beautifully finished and everything else is restrained, the entire woman appears more intentional. A refined woman does not decorate every inch of herself. She decides where the eye should rest. Imagine getting ready for a family dinner. You are wearing a simple navy dress with a clean neckline. Instead of adding dramatic earrings, a statement necklace, strong lipstick, and a complicated hairstyle, you choose the neckline as your zone. Smooth skin, a delicate necklace, soft hair. That is enough. Not empty, not boring, controlled. Try this tomorrow. Before getting dressed, ask yourself one question. Where do I want the eye to rest? Choose the zone. Finish it well. Then resist the urge to compete with it. And this is where we arrive at a grooming mistake that often begins with good intentions. Because sometimes, the more carefully a woman tries to perfect her skin, the less expensive it looks. There is a difference between finished skin and covered skin. And once you notice it, you cannot unsee it. Covered skin looks the same from the forehead to the chin. The same color, the same texture, the same flat finish. Every freckle is hidden. Every small variation is corrected. Every bit of redness is treated like a problem that must disappear. Finished skin is different. It still looks human. You can see dimension. You can see movement. You can see the natural character of the face. And this is where many women get it completely wrong. They believe more coverage creates more polish. But after 60, the face moves differently. The skin has natural folds, expression lines, and areas that are drier than others. A heavy layer of foundation does not simply sit on top of those changes. It travels into them. Imagine sitting near a window in a coffee shop. Your makeup looked smooth in the bathroom mirror. But in natural daylight, foundation has gathered around the nose. Powder is sitting inside the smile lines. The area beneath the eyes looks heavier than the rest of the face. The makeup may be expensive. The effect is not. Now here is the part nobody talks about. The more expensive the foundation, the cheaper it can still look if you are using it to erase your face. The better approach is selective correction. Use a sheer base where you need overall balance. Then correct only what distracts you. A little redness around the nose. One darker spot, perhaps uneven tone along the jaw. And be careful with powder on the areas of your face that move the most. Around the eyes, around the mouth, across deep expression lines. For an everyday lunch, errands, or a casual afternoon out, try using half the foundation you normally apply. Then step near a window. Do not ask whether your skin looks perfect. Ask whether it still looks like skin. That is the difference. Correct what distracts. Leave the rest of your face alive. But the face is only one part of polished grooming, because some of the most expensive-looking details live in places almost nobody looks at directly. They live at the edges. The most expensive-looking details are often the ones nobody can describe. A woman walks into a room, and she simply looks polished. People may notice her coat, her lipstick, perhaps her hair. But the real reason her appearance feels refined may be hiding somewhere much smaller, at the edges. I call them the quiet edges, the outer tail of your brows, the skin around your nails, the border of your lipstick, your hairline, even the small area of skin visible where the back of your shoe meets your heel. Nobody stares at these places, but the eye notices when they feel unfinished. This sounds small, but it changes everything. Imagine wearing a beautiful soft rose lipstick to church or a family gathering. The color is flattering, your teeth look brighter, your face feels alive. But after an hour, the pigment begins to feather slightly beyond the lip line. Most people will never consciously think, her lipstick is feathering. They simply register less polish. The same thing happens with a nude manicure and dry cuticles, or beautifully shaped brows with sparse, unfinished outer tails. The main feature looks good. The edge quietly weakens it. So here is a practical habit I want you to try. Before leaving for dinner, a weekend outing, or even everyday errands, do a 30-second edge check. Look at your hairline, then your brow tails, your lip edges, and your cuticles. Do not add more product everywhere. Simply clean, soften, or correct the edge that looks unfinished. A cotton swab around the lips, a tiny amount of brow pencil at the outer tail, hand cream worked into the cuticles, a soft brush through the hairline. That is often enough. Polish lives at the edges. And a well-groomed woman over 60 understands something important. She does not need people to notice every detail. She needs the details to stop distracting from her. But there is one grooming mistake people do notice immediately. Not with their eyes. Sometimes, they notice it before you even enter the conversation. You can look perfectly polished and undo the entire impression without changing a single thing you are wearing. All it takes is too much fragrance. And the difficult part is, you may be the last person to notice it. When you wear the same perfume regularly, your nose becomes familiar with it. The scent seems softer to you, so you add another spray, then another. But everyone else is meeting that fragrance for the first time. Expensive grooming invites people closer. Overdone grooming reaches them from across the room. Imagine arriving at a small dinner with friends. Your hair looks soft. Your makeup is restrained. You are wearing a beautiful cashmere sweater and tailored trousers. Before you reach the table, everyone already knows you are there. Not because they saw you, because your perfume arrived first. That is not presence. That is projection. And this is where fragrance price becomes almost irrelevant. A luxury perfume can smell just as overwhelming as an inexpensive one when it is applied without restraint. The problem becomes even worse when scented products begin competing. Perfumed body lotion, strong shampoo, hairspray, fabric softener, and then fragrance on top. Individually, each scent may be pleasant. Together, they create noise. For church, dinner, a date night, or any close indoor setting, think about fragrance placement instead of fragrance quantity. Choose 1 or 2 pulse areas, the wrists, the base of the throat, perhaps behind the ears, then stop. And please resist the habit of refreshing your perfume simply because you can no longer smell it on yourself. Ask someone you trust before adding more. Your fragrance should be discovered, not announced. A woman with quiet presence does not need to leave a cloud behind her. She leaves an impression. And sometimes, the grooming habit that cheapens a woman's appearance is not something she started doing recently. It is something she has been doing perfectly for 20 years. That may be exactly the problem. Some grooming mistakes survive for years because they were once completely right. That dark berry lipstick may have looked sophisticated on you 15 years ago. The sharply defined brows may have framed your face beautifully, and that precise, layered haircut may have become so closely connected to your identity that friends still say, "That is so you." But being recognizable is not always the same as looking current. Hair changes, skin changes, the natural color of the lips can change. Brows may become thinner in some areas and coarser in others. Even the contrast between your hair, eyes, and skin may soften over time. Your signature grooming habits need to respond. Style after 60 is not about reinventing yourself, but it does require editing yourself. Imagine getting ready for a date night or an anniversary dinner. You reach for the same deep matte lipstick you have trusted for years. The color still feels familiar, but now, The dry finish emphasizes every line in the lips and makes them appear smaller. The problem is not the berry color. The texture is no longer doing you any favors. So keep the color family. Change the finish. Try a satin texture, a cream lipstick, or a softly tinted balm in a similar shade. The same principle applies to hair. You may not need a completely different haircut. Perhaps the shape simply needs softer edges, less rigid layering, or a little more movement around the face. And brows? Do not automatically make them darker, because they are becoming sparse. Sometimes a softer shade with better placement looks far more refined. Here is a useful exercise. Take one clear photograph of yourself in natural daylight. No filter. Then ask yourself, which part of my grooming looks the most familiar? That is the detail worth examining first. Not because it is necessarily wrong, because familiarity can make us stop seeing. A well-dressed older woman does not chase every beauty trend. She also does not preserve herself like a photograph from another decade. She edits. She keeps what still works and quietly releases what does not. And once you begin editing, something interesting happens. You need fewer grooming decisions, not more. That is where consistency starts to look expensive. Women who always look polished are not necessarily spending more time getting ready. Often, they are making fewer decisions. They know what works, and they repeat it. This is controlled repetition. Think about the woman who somehow looks put together even when she is wearing jeans, a simple knit top, and comfortable walking shoes. Her outfit may change, but three things are almost always consistent. Perhaps her brows are softly defined, her hands are neat, and her lips always look healthy and comfortable. Those details become part of her visual identity. Luxury is often repetition done extremely well. And this is where constantly experimenting can work against you. A new eyebrow shape on Monday, a heavy matte lip on Wednesday, very glossy skin on Friday, then a completely different hairstyle for Sunday lunch. There is nothing wrong with enjoying beauty, but when every grooming choice changes at the same time, your appearance can begin to feel less intentional. Not interesting, not creative, simply unsettled. A refined woman knows her signatures. For everyday errands, a weekend coffee, or casual travel, you should have 2 or 3 grooming details that require almost no thought. Maybe yours are soft brows, polished hands, and a rose-toned lip. Perhaps they are smooth silver hair, hydrated skin, and short neutral nails. The specific choices do not matter as much as the consistency. Here is what I suggest. Write down 3 grooming details that make you feel most like yourself when they are done well. Only 3. Then make those your baseline. On a busy morning, finish those 3 things first. If you have more time, add something else. But never sacrifice your signature details because you became distracted by 10 other beauty steps. A confident woman over 60 does not need a new face every morning. She needs a grooming language people recognize. Quiet, consistent, deliberate. And there is one more place where consistency often disappears completely. You can finish your hair. You can perfect your skin. You can take care of your hands. Then you put on your clothes and accidentally undo the entire effect. Because the final grooming step does not happen in the bathroom. It happens after you are dressed. Remember the grooming habit I mentioned at the beginning? The one that has nothing to do with your hair, makeup, or skincare? This is it. Groom your clothes after you put them on. Most women do the opposite. They finish their hair, apply makeup, add fragrance, get dressed. Then they look in the mirror and ask one question. Do I like the outfit? But a polished woman asks a different question. What happened to the outfit after I put it on? Because clothing changes the moment it meets the body. Foundation can transfer onto a neckline. Deodorant can leave a pale mark near the armhole. A single silver hair can sit across a dark knit sweater. Sleeves can twist. A camisole edge can shift above the neckline. And soft fabrics can collect lint in the exact places where the eye naturally rests. Now here is the part nobody talks about. This is where a $20 top can look elegant. And a $200 blouse can suddenly look careless. Price cannot protect clothing from unfinished details. Imagine getting dressed for a business casual lunch or a family celebration. You choose a beautiful ivory blouse and tailored trousers. The fit is excellent, but there is a faint makeup mark along the collar. You may not notice it because you are looking at the entire outfit. Someone standing 3 feet away will. So create what I call the doorway check. After you are completely dressed, stand near the door or in natural light. And for 10 seconds, do not look at your face. Look only from your shoulders to your waist. Check the neckline, the collar, the front of the blouse or sweater, the sleeves. Remove stray hairs, brush away lint, straighten twisted fabric, clean any visible makeup transfer. 10 seconds, that is all. The final grooming step happens after you are dressed, and a refined woman understands that her body and her clothes must look finished together, not separate, together. But if all of these details are starting to sound like more work, do not worry. You do not need a longer beauty routine. You need a better final 90 seconds. And that is exactly what we are going to build next. If you are thinking, this sounds like a lot to check every morning, I have good news. It is not. You do not need a longer beauty routine. You need a better final 90 seconds. I call this the expensive 90-second reset, and you do it only after you are almost ready to leave. Start with 20 seconds for your hair. Do not restyle it. Turn your head from side to side. Look at the ends. Check the hairline. If one section looks stiff, separate it gently. If the ends look dry, smooth them lightly. The goal is movement. Next, give 20 seconds to your hands. Look at your nails and cuticles. You do not need a fresh manicure. A small amount of hand cream worked around the nails can immediately make the hands look more cared for. Now, 20 seconds for the face. Check your lip edges. Look at your teeth. Notice whether foundation has gathered around the nose or mouth. Do not add another layer of makeup. Correct one thing. Then spend 15 seconds on your clothes. Remember the doorway check. Shoulders to waist. Look for lint, stray hairs, twisted sleeves, makeup transfer, or a neckline that has shifted. And finally, 15 seconds for restraint. This may be the most important step. Ask yourself, did I add too much? Too much fragrance? Too much shine? One accessory competing with another? If the answer is yes, remove or soften one thing. That is 90 seconds. Hair, hands, face, clothes, restraint. You can remember 5 words. And you can do this before church, before dinner, before traveling, or before an ordinary morning of errands. Because looking expensive is not a performance you save for special occasions. It is a standard of finish. Not perfection, not youth, not a bathroom cabinet filled with luxury skincare and designer beauty products. Finish. A woman over 60 with a simple routine and a trained eye can look far more refined than a woman using twice the products with no final edit. So tomorrow, do not spend another 20 minutes getting ready. Give yourself 90 better seconds. Because once the details stop distracting from you, something powerful happens. People finally see the woman first. Here is the truth about looking expensive after 60. Most people will never know what your skincare cost. They will not know the price of your perfume, your haircut, or the lipstick sitting in your handbag. And they probably will not recognize the label inside your jacket. They only see the result. They see whether your hair moves, whether your skin still looks like skin, whether the quiet edges are clean, whether your fragrance whispers or announces itself, and whether you and your clothes look finished together. That is the invisible price tag. And the good news is, you have far more control over it than the beauty industry would like you to believe. You do not need 10 new products. You may simply need to notice 5 details your own eyes have stopped seeing. Style after 60 is not about looking younger. It is about looking clear, intentional, and completely comfortable with the woman you have become. So, I want to ask you something. When you meet another woman, which grooming detail do you notice first? Her hair, her hands, her skin, or her fragrance? Tell me in the comments. I would genuinely love to know what women in this community notice. And if you believe mature style should feel refined, practical, and modern, subscribe and stay with us. Because in the next video, we are looking at the small clothing details that can make an outfit look expensive before anyone notices the brand. And one of the most important details is probably hanging in your closet right now. You just may not be seeing it yet.